The following program discusses sensitive issues related to addictive behavior. Parents are cautioned that some material may be too candid for younger children.
Welcome to Celebrating Life and Recovery. I'm Cheri. Today we're going to introduce you to a guy they call the buzzard, because if he's around, it means something is dead.
We don't have no money. We're starving.
Welcome. So this season is exciting to me because we're talking about a number of things. One of them is maintenance. So I'm going to just kind of recap what we've done in other seasons, at other times, and what when I stop a drug. You know, when I stop sexually acting out, when I stop an addiction of any kind, when I decide that I'm actually going to turn my life over to God and let Him heal me. When I get to that point, whatever the issue is, it's like, how do I explain this? It's like buying a ticket to a program. And we've talked about this before. It's like if I'm going to go to a theater, if I'm going to see a movie, I first have to buy a ticket. Stopping the addiction is like buying a ticket. It is not the movie. You know what I mean? And that's, we got to get that so clear. It is not the movie. It is the ticket to get in. And so stopping our addiction is a ticket to get in. And then as we start to step into that part, I'm outside of my addiction. Most of us, I'm going to talk about myself. I don't know how to stand. I don't know how to think. I don't know how to act. I don't know how, you know, when somebody says just act normal, I don't know what that means. What do you mean by that? I've been an addict for a long time. And whatever addiction means to you, I've been that for a long time. And so you step into this part of addiction and you do this kind of transition thing, that I'm no longer an addict. I'm no longer running to my addictions, and I'm going to just kind of go over a list of things that is important to know about this. The transition part, I'm going to transition into that freedom from addiction. Part of the transition is I'm going to actually start to bargain first. Well, maybe I could just do a little bit of the addiction. Maybe I could just act out on weekends. Maybe I could just, you know, I could do all that kind of stuff. So you transition and you get through that stage and you realize that if it's bad for you, it's bad for you. A little bit is bad, a lot is worse, but it's bad for you. The next one is stabilization, and I love this, is that, you know, just imagine that I'm not even steady on my feet and I start to stabilize, and that's part of the process. Early recovery is that I'm going to change my attitudes and beliefs about the addiction. And so changing the attitudes and beliefs about the addiction is I used to think that the only way that I was going to get through life, the only way that I didn't want to die, the only way that I could socialize is if I was high. And I really believed that. I started doing drugs at 12. You know, whatever your addiction is, and when you start, you really believe that this is the only way to deal with stress. Well, I have to change that, and I have to learn different ways. So early recovery is just kind of changing the beliefs and attitudes about the addiction. If you have eating disorders, if you're a food addict, you know, to eat $160 worth of food in one setting is going to damage you, the weight and all that kind of stuff. And so you start to look at the issue and realize that I have to change my beliefs about that issue, and it's huge. The next one, middle recovery, is I'm going to repair the damage that was caused in my addiction. And I mean, sometimes we could just trash ourselves and trash other people, and it really is a time of looking at, you know, repairing the damage that I've caused in my own life and the lives of other people and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to evaluate some goals. What do I want in my life? And that's a scary place for some people. For me, it was real scary because I never dared to dream about anything. When I looked at myself as a damaged child, an unwanted child, I was illiterate at 23. I don't know how to do anything. And I looked at myself as all that. And God and the people around me that I brought into my life just started speaking truth into my life. You're incredible. Look at you. I love to sit and laugh with you. And when people would say that, it would hit me. Who, me? You know, I really don't have anything. No, I love you. And so it's just really evaluating that, and that middle part of recovery is so fun. And you really start to accept the changes in your life, that maybe I can have a life. And I want to tell you, I just wept. When people read Jeremiah 29:11, that God had a plan for my life, had a future, really wanted me to stand up, delights in my recovery. Zephaniah said he sings over me. I'm like, and I just wanted to cry because I thought, are you kidding me? I'm just an addict. And God just said, no, you have never been just an addict. You're my child. You're everything to me. And even the people that you gather around you at this point in your life, you want to gather around people that will just tell you the truth about that. Late recovery, and this is the funnest part. I can't even tell you how amazing this part is. Late recovery says that I'm going to see myself as something other than what I've seen myself my whole life. I'm going to see myself not as an unwanted child, but as a woman fully capable of taking on life, fully capable of doing whatever God calls me to do, or whatever, whatever I choose to do, fully capable of that. And I think for a lot of addicts, we stop at the fact that we're clean. And I think all of heaven says, oh, don't stop there, because I know who you are. I know how you laugh out loud. I know the things that you are going to do in your life. I know the things that are going to wake up your passion so that you can literally wake up in the morning anticipating an incredible day and changing the lives of the people around you. And so late recovery is just building depth and meaning into your life. And for a lot of addicts, we don't get there, and I'm just begging you, get there. But this season, we're not even talking about that. We're talking about maintenance. And maintenance is kind of a fun thing, is that so now I've gone through those transitions, transition and stabilization, early recovery, middle recovery, all that kind of stuff, gone through that. And so now I'm getting into a place where I'm going to maintain my recovery. So what do I do to do that? And part of maintenance, what it means is I'm going to learn to enjoy the journey, not the journey from addictions, because we've dealt with that, right? But the journey in life. I'm going to celebrate life. And part of what this program was called, to Celebrating Life in Recovery, is because every addiction has to get to the point where you are kind of on your feet, looking up. You've got people around you that are just amazing, and they're going to help you celebrate who you are, who God is, what life is about. And so that's this part of maintenance, and we're going to talk about that. The book for this season even talks about that. It's Shelley Quinn's new book called Pressing In. We're going to learn how to communicate with God and really pray and take advantage of everything that God wants to pour into you, because he's got a ton of stuff that he wants to teach you, especially if you've never been taught who you are and how valuable you are. God just says, let me have at you every day, and I will show you exactly who you are. This last time is that we want to really look at, almost on a daily basis, in this maintenance stage on a daily basis, I want to look at what happened today. Do you know what I mean? If I'm all of a sudden, and I've been there, I work with addicts all the time, and sometimes I'll be working with somebody and my mouth tastes like chemicals. I'm starting to have saliva. I am starting to itch, and I'm thinking, what just happened? Well, the person's high. I start to really smell and take on that, and the addict in me, I even stand different. It's like, yo, dude, and pretty soon I'm wanting to get high, I'm getting triggered, all that kind of stuff. And so in this maintenance thing, it's like, if that happens to you, literally look at that. And don't be afraid of that. What just happened? And I know what just happened is I was around an addict, I smelled the drug again, I'm starting to get tempted. And for people with sexual addictions, it could be that somebody just walked by, they've got this really kind of sexy outfit on, or if it's a guy, they got these kind of tight clothes on, or they smiled at you or whatever. But it's that point where the addict or that person that was damaged just jumps up again. Hey, remember me? And you just have to say, wait, stop. And at that point, saying stop is just really saying to yourself that I want to evaluate that. I want to, as soon as it happens, I don't want to be afraid of it, but I don't want to think it's never going to happen, so I turn that over right away. For some people, in some recovery groups, they'll say, I'll call my sponsor. If you don't have a sponsor, God's right there, call him. But sponsor, friends, pastors, people that love you. In this stage, you just realize that you can call someone. So maintenance is just kind of doing that. It's just maintenance, everyday stuff. I believe I believe more than anything is to get into a place where I understand prayer and my communication with God. Because I know, and some people think that's kind of a lame thing to say, especially if you don't have a relationship with God yet, but I know that God is for me. I can struggle with something. I could not even know how I'm going to get out from underneath it. I turn it over to Him, and all of a sudden, not only have I turned it over to Him, but I get this kind of feeling or sense or thought of exactly what to do with it. And it's brilliant. So I know it's not from me. You know what I mean? It's brilliant. And it's God. The Holy Spirit steps in and says, Cheri, why don't you think about this, or do this, or talk to this person, and literally I can turn it over right away. There's an acronym I want to give you before we go on to the next segment, and if you have a pen, write it down. If you don't write it down, you know, the show will come on again, or you can buy it or whatever. But the acronym is RADAR, right? And so I want you to remember, in a maintenance stage, RADAR. The R stands for recognize when you're stuck. Recognize when you're acting out. In this stage, life is going on. I'm learning all these new things. I'm really starting to, you know, celebrate my journey in a healthier life. And I don't want to say normal anymore, because I think normal is overrated. I see people around me that have normal lives and they're miserable. So I'm talking about celebrating life, literally finding your passion. So recognize when you're stuck. Accept that. Don't be afraid of that. Just accept that. Detach from it. And when I say detach from it, turn it over to God. Just tell Him, I can't do this. I don't even know what direction. Call somebody you love. Call your parents. Call your best friend. Call your pastor. Get in touch with somebody that's gone through this before ahead of you, and turn it over. Accept help from the people that you turn it over to. Accept help from the church. Accept help from God. Accept help from your sponsor. And that means that I'm not going to even try to figure out what's happening right now. I'm going to accept what you say to me right now. And really, you want to find people that you really respect their own walk. And then the last thing, and I hate this, do it. When they tell you to do something, do it. And even if it feels uncomfortable. And if it feels uncomfortable, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. If I wanted to learn to swim, you know, and I'm thinking, you know what, I want to learn to swim. And so Michael Phelps calls me up. And if you don't know who he is, swimmer, he has like won gold medals in everything he's ever done. I think one time I saw him with 7 different medals on. And he calls me up and he says, Cheri, I heard you wanted to learn to swim. And I'm thinking, wow. Because I'm so going to learn, because this is Michael Phelps. He's amazing. And he just says, I just want to teach you. I want to teach you. And he tells me, I'll write down everything that you need to know, and I'll just send you some letters. Excuse me, Michael, I'm not sure, because you know, aren't you going to come and teach me? Aren't we going to jump in the pool somewhere and so you can show me things? No, I'll just send you some letters. And there's no way to learn that way. There's no way to learn. If somebody, even somebody that knows everything, decides to teach you, but you never get in the water, you never start moving around and feel like what it feels like to be in the water, you'll never change. So when somebody tells you, have them show you, have them do hands-on if you have to, but definitely you have to have action. So the last part of that is respond with action. Do something. Change your life. Feel what it feels like. Like I have attachment disorders and bonding disorders. I don't know how to socialize and that kind of stuff. So I had to put myself a lot in social situations. So the last part of this radar is respond with action. Actually do it. Enjoy your life and live fully, out loud, laugh out loud, enjoy being in your own skin, and let God bring changes in your life that you will just stand years from now and look back and just say, I had no idea that He could actually change me in this way. And I think that's the coolest part of this whole thing. We're going to come right back. The person that you're going to meet is called the Buzzard. It's going to be fun. You got to stay with us.